चलती है। This is session number 13.
Yes, ma'am.
SAARC has to preside, and he's there.
Welcome to all of you in the 13th session of South Asian Online Literary Conference. This is a poetry reading session, and Sri Kaisar Haq from Bangladesh is presiding over this session. The poets are Bhishma Upreti from Nepal, Deo Prasad Chaudhary from India, Anisul Haq from Bangladesh, A. Krishna Rao from India, Nimesh Nikhil from Nepal, Obaid Akash from Bangladesh, Beena Thing from Nepal, Sukhvinder Amrit from India, Harish Chandra Adhikari from Nepal, Damodar Udasaini from Nepal, and Kaisar Haq Saab from Bangladesh. Now, I request to poets, please start this session.
Morning, everyone.
The time limit is 7 minutes, so please.
Okay. Would you take the trouble of timing the performance of each participant? So each participant has 7 minutes. So at 6 minutes, if you rang a bell, that would give them a minute's warning. Okay. So each participant is supposed to introduce himself or herself and then read from his or her work. So in all, a participant will have 7 minutes. Without further ado, let me begin by calling upon Mr. Bhishma Upreti from Nepal. Would you please
Thank you, Kesar sir.
begin your performance?
Thank you. First of all, I would like to pranam to my respected Ajit Korma for this program, and it's very nice to see you well again after a long time. So, and my greetings to all the respected poets in this session. So, I will recite my 2 poems that I have written on or about Himalayas or mountains today. The first one is let me just give my introduction in 2 or 3 sentences. I am Bhishma Upreti from Nepal, from Kathmandu. I have 21 books published. Out of them, 10 are poetries and 10 are essays and travels, and 1 novel has been published. And my works have been translated into several languages, and books have been translated 7 other languages, including Hindi, English, Farsi, Serbian, Sinhala, Japanese, and I'm very lucky one, and I would like to thank to Ajit Ma for awarding me by SAARC Literature Award 2 years ago. So this is my very brief introduction, and I am participating in these programs continuously since 2017. My first participation was in Jaipur in 2017. So I will recite my 2 poems. The first one, its title is The Pathway of the Mountains. The Pathway of the Mountains. He is very lean and thin. Sometimes while walking, he falls down, deep down the precipice. But don't despise him due to this. He is the small pathway of mountain. He is one to connect this mountain to the distant faraway mountain, and the mountain even far away from there. He is the one who takes people to the fields, market, water taps, and the schools. He is the one to take people to the health centers too. There is no facility of internet in the mountains. By carrying the love letters that you have written, he is the one to go to another mountain to meet your beloved. He doesn't get tired like you do. He doesn't get lost in his thoughts. He doesn't avoid you like people do. He doesn't give you false assurance and praise you. He is a friend of yours. Instead of that, love him. Don't despise him. Thank you. This was the first one. The second one is also about mountain and mountainous life. Sorry. The title of this poem is A Day with a Tourist. A day with a tourist. Oh, how beautiful the Himalayas are. Oh, how beautiful the Himalayas are. Stop the car. I want to see it. My tourist friend gets off the vehicle and gazes at the distant Himalayas. He watches the aura, sun rays kissing the snow over the green hills and the Himalayas. He takes pictures and with a long breath turns to me and says, "Won't you come out? Wouldn't you like to see the Himalayas and the snow?" But instead of looking at the snow and Himalayas, I look at him, his eyes and his camera. He came to see and visit Nepal. He has heard that Nepal is beautiful. He has heard that Nepal is lush. He looks at the Himalayas and the white snow over it. He looks at the greenery covering the Himalayas and rivers flowing, melting the snows. He looks around Basantapur in Kathmandu, Mangal Bazar in Patan. He looks around the Darbar Square in Bhaktapur, but doesn't want to go inside. He looks at the hanging marks in shops and the restaurant and five-star hotels. When I see the snow, I understand its coldness too. When I see the snow, I understand its coldness too. When I see the Himalayas, I understand its barrenness too. When I see the Himalayas, I understand its seclusion too. I see the naked bodies and empty stomachs at the foothills. I see not the freshness of the snow, but the hollow, dreamless eyes, not streams, but waterfalls of tears. How then can I smile at the sight of the Himalayas? How can I be happy seeing the exterior facade, forgetting the actual picture? How can I sing looking at these masks? The wound in my heart cuts afresh and adds another layer. What sweet a picture my friend conjures for Himalayas. He returns to the car, takes his diary out and writes, "How beautiful Nepal is, how delightful, like heaven." Thank you. Thank you so much. I finished my reading.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Upriti. You've taken us back to Nepal, a country which all of us have visited and which we love. Thank you very much. The next participant is Mr. Deo Prasad Chaudhary from India. Would you please introduce yourself briefly and begin your reading, Mr. Chaudhary? You have 7 minutes.
Dev Prakash ji, please unmute yourself. First icon. देव प्रकाश जी अनम्यूट कर लीजिए. हाँ, please.
I am a journalist by profession, but an artist. I wrote a book on Vyas Manjusa Kala, Duvata Vyas Pukartikal. Another book on social activist Anna Hakare, a book on Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden. My most recent book is based on famous artist Arpana Kaur, art journey, Jiska, and I am working with a news. This is my introduction, and I want to read is छूने का एहसास, सेंस ऑफ। अगर अनुमति हो तो हिंदी के बाद इंग्लिश पढ़ूं, छोटी छोटी कविताएं मेरी, या कहें तो सिर्फ इंग्लिश में पढ़ूं। इट इज पॉसिबल टू रीड इन हिंदी।
इंटरचेंज करा है हमने यार।
Yes, please go ahead.
पैर सड़कों पर थे, वह खुद धरती की आबादी में जीवित, यादों की एक पोटली थी, उसमें चमक रही थी, हड़बड़ी में ताकत पर छूट गई नकली मूर्ति माता। अपनी दुनिया में फिर से लौट जाने का वह अकेला रास्ता, जिसे पार करने में एक डर भी साथ था। जुबान चुपचाप थी, आंखें जरूरत से ज्यादा थी, हवाओं में थी मौत और सांस लेनी थी मजबूरी। वहीं एक बस स्टैंड पर पड़ी थी पानी की एक भरी बोतल, फिर भी किसी ने नहीं उठाया उसे, क्योंकि छूने का एहसास खत्म हो गया था और सड़कें लंबी होती जा रही थी। सेंस ऑफ टच, feet were on the streets. He himself remained in the population of the world, a bundle of memories in which a fake pearl bed was shining. What he had left on the shelf in hurry. The only way to back his own world again, but to cross there was also a fear. Tongu was silent, eyes too sharp, dead in the wind, and breathing was compulsory. There at a bus stand, a bottle full of water was laying, yet someone did not pick it up because the sense of touch was over and the roads were getting longer. My second poetry is थक कर नहीं बैठते कलर, थक कर बैठते नहीं colors do not sit tired. Colors do not sit tired. They stare on snow in our lives. They ask some questions, carrying the burden of memories. To where shall we go? A weight which shrinks and disappears, dreams on a peg, damp patches on the wall, coins that tinkle in childhood, to it screams like the laugh, humming a mumbling love in heart, a few turns of prayer at the door of the gods in the stone neighborhood. A banyan leaf collecting all of these colors creates a world for us where even after everything is destroyed, always remains love or affection. Colors never sit tired. In Hindi, थक कर नहीं बैठते रह, वे हमारे जीवन में करते हैं ताक, वे पूछते हैं कुछ सवाल, यादों का बोझ लिए हम कहां तक जाएंगे। सिमटती और ओझल होती प्रतीक्षा, किसी खूंटी पर टंगे सपने, दीवार पर सीलन के धब्बे, बचपन के गुल्लक में खनक के सिक्के, दबी हुई चीखें अलाप की तरह, दिल में गुनगुनाता प्यार, देवताओं के दरवाजे पर प्रार्थना के कुछ स्वर, पत्थर के पड़ोस बरगद का एक पत्ता, इन सब को एकत्र कर रंग हमारे लिए रचते हैं एक और संसार, जहां सब कुछ नष्ट हो जाने के बाद भी हमेशा बचा रह जाता है प्यार और प्यार। इसलिए कभी थक कर नहीं बैठते। I think we have time.
Finish, or would you like to read another short one, perhaps?
Okay, thank you. Another one is I do not know. मुझे पता नहीं. He said to an artist that your color blooms a lot, but do not paint all the canvas. It is better if something will be remain blank there. He said to a river that you run and gasp to meet the sea, but do not get completely immersed into it. It is better if some drops will be remain there. He said to a bird that you fly very high, yet you return to your house, but do not scale or measure the entire sky someday. It is better if some nook will be remained. He said to a butterfly that you hover flower to flower, but do not take all the pollen away. It is better if something will be left there. He said to a beetle that do not chip entire night. It is better if even for one time of the day, silence will be remained there. What did the artist, river, bird, butterfly, and beetle say? I do not know. मैं हिंदी जल्दी से पढ़ देता हूँ, मुझे लगता है कि सब कम है मेरे लिए। मुझे पता नहीं, उसने कहा एक कलाकार से, खूब खिलते हैं तुम्हारे रंग, लेकिन सारे कैनवास मत रंग लेना, कुछ बच जाए तो बेहतर। उसने कहा एक नदी से दौड़ती हाँफती जाती हो, पूरी तरह समुद्र में मत मिल जाना, कुछ बूंदे रह जाए तो बेहतर। उसने कहा एक चिड़िया से बहुत ऊंचा उड़ती हो, फिर अपने घर भी लौट आती हो, कभी किसी दिन पूरा आकाश मत मान ले, कुछ को न बोल बचा रह जाए तो बेहतर। उसने कहा एक तितली से इस फूल से उस फूल पर मंडराती रहती हो, सारे पराग अपने साथ मत लेकर जाना, कुछ बचा रह जाए तो बेहतर। उसने कहा एक झिंगुर से सारी रात मत गूंजते रहना, एक पहर भी रह जाए सन्नाटा तो बेहतर। कलाकार, नदी, चिड़िया, तितली, झिंगुर ने क्या कहा मुझे जी। नमस्कार।
Thank you very much, Mr. Chaudhary. I'll now like to request Mr. Anisul Haq.
Sir, Anisul Haq Sahab not joined now.
Okay.
Then we can ask to E. Krishna Rao ji.
Yes, Krishna Rao from India.
Well, namaskar. I write poetry in the name of Krishnudu. So I wrote about 5 to 6 books of poetry and 4 books of political writing. I'm a journalist. I'm associate editor in Andhra Jyoti, working in Delhi, and I have received several awards, including Kendra Sahitya Akademi for award for my translation, for translating Dogri poet Padma Satyadevji's poetry. Here I read one or two my poems. All is well. Behind the closed eyelids, somewhere in the depths of my mind, wakes up a dream. Deep inside the layers of darkness, spread across by the night, flares up a question. Nobody, no body, no soul, nor could I locate the place. Who is that? Fathoming the depths of my heart, is that myself? Words have no meaning. Body has no identity. Movements have no destination. Who then is that running so fast through my thoughts and my mind and struggling within itself? Is that myself? I don't know whether it is the moan of the wounded dove battling for life amidst branches of the tree. I can't say whether it is the groan of the throat struggling to wriggle out of the iron fists. I can't make out whether it is the crackling of a funeral pyre or of the pangs of hunger expressed through eyes. I can't disclose whether it is the cry of a helpless soul stripped naked by 40 hands within 4 walls. A trauma of death, a struggle for breath, a hunger killed, a futile war for freedom. When dreams get shattered and heart get fragmented, I wake up to a catastrophic silence. Everything is peaceful. All is well. I'll read my second poem. Memories. Memories are withering away like dry leaves. Mind does not bother about incomplete book. Friendship has remained a mere journey. Love has turned a disturbed sleep. Perhaps there is no childhood. I can't feel the music in the flow of blood in shaking hands. Whenever I stepped in, an acquaintance fades away. Whenever I stepped in, an acquaintance fades away. My eyes have stopped searching for the soul. The grave does not respond, despite being overwhelmed by the ravishing beauty. I can't remember the tune, despite striking melodious notes. Memories are splashing through my mind, like flames at the fireplace, and the fragrance of yesterday is still haunting through every page of the book I read. I read my last poem, third poem. Like all others, I know, like all martyrs, one day you would bid adieu, lying in a pool of blood and kissing the Mother Earth. I know, like all others, you have hidden behind your closed eyelids the secrets of those killings. I know, like all others, one day you would become a burning flame in my heart and come out of my eyes as a boiling tear and make me feel the taste of an ocean. I know, like all others, you try to touch the moonlight in the dark valleys and enjoy the fragrance of flowers, braving sharp edges of sports, and like all others, you came out flying like a butterfly from the flames of forest and disappeared into the rainbow. When you were full rage like all others, I enjoyed its drumbeat. When you roared like a bursting cloud, I was drenched in its fury. And when you, like all others, made the war cry in the last battle, I heard it in the cry of the newborn baby. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I'd like to ask Mr. Nimesh Nikhil from Nepal.
Nimesh ji has not joined yet.
So then I'll move on to my compatriot Ubayad Akash,
Yeah, please.
Bangladesh. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Good morning, respected author Ajit Kaur ji, and greetings to the Honorable Chair, Poet Kaisar Haq, and the poet writers of different countries in SAARC. I am Ubayad Akash from Dhaka, Bangladesh. Basically, I like to write poetry, and that's my addiction also. So far, I have published 22 books of poetry, and the total number of books are 42. Professionally, I am a literary journalist. Now I am working in an oldest national newspaper of Bangladesh, the Daily Sangbad, as a literary editor. I live in Dhaka. Now, first I want to reading a poem in English. This poem is translated by multilingual poet Haikel Hashmi from Bengali. Something is missing. Nowadays, there is a feeling something is missing, something is missing. Those who used to wait for me with their sights on the keys of my safe, even they disappeared, keeping the safe open. The anti-tradition flies who sat on the waste dump in a state of hunger strike although they accepted the necessary death, but now they left the waste heap and leading healthy life somewhere else. Those who added new menus, the seeds of water lily, the banana flowers, and bottle gourd sleep in my middle class meals, now their homes are filled with vessels to sweet nectar, and comes the noise from the rose garden. Something is missing, something is missing. Those who learned my everyday grammar and inserted rhymes, analogies, metaphors in my parable, and in the middle of the night, the unruly visit to the pub. Even today, I am longing for them while counting the pub's empty chairs. My second poem I'm reading uh, in my mother tongue, Bengali. সুলতানপুর বিশ্বময়। সুলতানপুর আমার দাঁতের ফাঁকে লবণাক্ত স্বাদের মতো প্রতিদিন বর্তমান থাকে। ধুলোর শয্যা আর কুয়াশারাঙা উষ্ণতায় মুখোমুখি রোজ পরস্পর বিশ্বাসের প্ররোচনা দেই। মায়ের কবরের ছায়া নেড়েচেড়ে দেখি সুলতানপুরে ঘুমিয়ে আছে হৃৎপিণ্ড, আর তার স্পন্দন ছড়িয়ে পড়েছে বিশ্বময়। My another poem I am reading in English. This poem also translated by multilingual poet Haikel Hashmi. Monologue of Blooming Flower. It was a ritual of gather the bokul flowers and waited for the Tuesday, standing in the courtyard of Monday. Monday was considered auspicious, but there were many tales about the inauspiciousness of Tuesday. That was the moment when the innocent heart of a child felt the inconsistency. One day, the knowledge acquired from the school, pointing its finger on the youth and uttered, "The man is supreme." But turning the pages after pages, there were no biography of a man in these books. Rather, people studied the famous biographies of Shen, Pal, and Mughal dynasties. Heard the stories of so many sultans of the world, but didn't find a single sultan in Sultanpur. That was the moment when an intense debate erupted in the mind. After seeing the people with protruding bones, hungry and half-fed people of Sultanpur, the thought comes to the mind that contrast is written on any self-proclaimed name. There is no reason of blooming for flowers, but weathering has got a sad, rustling tone. Bokul, Spanish cherry, Sultanpur, a village in Rajbari, Bangladesh. I want to reading my last poem in Bengali, a little poem. ঠিকানা। কোথাও বেড়াতে গেলে পাশাপাশি হাটে সুলতানপুর। জুতা খুলে ভেতরে প্রবেশ করলে বিনিদ্র পাহারা দেয় পাদুকা। চিরদিন প্রতিশ্রুত সে একদিন দেহ ফেলে কোথাও হারিয়ে যায় যদি, দেহখানা নিজের প্রযত্নে নেবে। আর আমি দেহ ফেলে যত দূরে যাই একক ঠিকানা লিখব সুলতানপুর। Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Akash. May I now request Bina Ting from Nepal to start the reading? Is Bina Ting here?
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Hello?
Thank you.
Hello. Yeah,
Namaskar.
welcome to the session. Please begin. Ms. Bina
Namaskar.
Ting.
Warm greeting from Nepal. I'm Bina Ting, a Nepali poet belonging to Tamang community. Tamang community is hilly residential indigenous community. I prefer to write both in Tamang and Nepali language. Here I am going to recite my poem Moichang in Black Wall, which was initially written in Tamang and translated in Nepali and now in English. The word Moichang means young lady in Tamang. And this poem explains grief of Moichang. So the title is Moichang in Black Wall. To wake up with birds, to sing birds' song, to run a marathon to a water tap, to grind the fortune in a grinding stone, or husk themselves persistently on a mortar of grief. All are routine of Moichangs. Moichangs breastfeed to their children, not the milk, the blood. Sturdy their thighs, but wither and slender they tangle their bones to a gloom that covers them in the monsoon, while plantation into tears, as if the tears are soft mud. Tears are sharp enough. Tears are sharp enough that they used to cut grass, collect firewoods. Tears are the plums too, that they use to clean up the dunghill and rinse their anxiety. For the years, they tuned the primitive note and played the dampu, chorused the cello, visited to bazaar of their body, and walked non-stop in search of luminosity. They still walk. Yet I want to ask, why does not appear the line of prosperity on their plums of Moichangs, on the plums of Moichang? Why does not appear apparent a canal of contentment? These all are broken on their hands. As if they are fragmented with the relatives while walking, and they happened to reach a cliff while growing the choke shoot sprout, catching the fringe of choke life, Maichang's ready passports, strip for visas, then they reach to a black hole where the dreamers reach, then disappears it to its dark. Thank you. Thank you.
Have you finished?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for a beautiful reading. May I now request Mr. Sukhwinder Amrit from India
Yes,
to
please.
come to the screen.
जी मेरे बहुत प्यारे अजीत जी, मैं बहुत बहुत मेरा सत्कार प्यार करना और निੱਘੀ गलवकड़ी और मैं पंजाबी च पढ़ा के अंग्रेजी दी मेरी प्रोनाउंसिएशन बहुत वीक है, कोशिश कर लेने आ। पोएम इज ऑल परवेसिव, पहला पंजाबी च पढ़ देने आ। कविता हुंदी है हर थां, कविता हुंदी है हर थां, बलदे चुल्हे दी लो विच, उबड़ खाबड़ रावां विच, उच्चे लम्मे रुखां विच, पैरां हेठ मिध हुंदे घावां विच। कविता हुंदी है हर थां, रिश्तियां विच इकलापे विच, संयोग विच विछोड़े विच, जिस्मां विच रूहां विच, सफर विच बरूहां विच। हाँ कविता हुंदी है हर थां हाजिर, गैर हाजिर हुंदा है सिर्फ कवि। हाँ कविता हुंदी है हर थां हाजिर, गैर हाजिर हुंदा है सिर्फ कवि। Poem is all pervasive. Poem is all pervasive in the flame of blazing hearth, in bumpy trains, in tall trees, in grass getting trodden. Poem is all pervasive in relationship, in solitude, in union, in separation, in bodies, in souls, in journey, in threshold. Yes, the poem is omnipresent. The poet alone is absent. The fire and the direction. Punjabi ਵਿੱਚ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਛੋਟੀ poem ਹੈ, small poem. ਅੱਗ ਤੇ ਰਾਹ, ਰਿਸ਼ਤਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਮੈਲੇ ਤਨ ਤੋਂ ਮੁੜਕੇ ਦੀ ਬੂੰਦ ਵਾਂਗ ਪੂੰਝ ਕੇ ਸੁੱਟ ਦਿੱਤਾ। ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕਿ ਮੇਰੇ ਪਾਣੀਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀਣਤਾ ਘੁਲਦੀ, ਮੈਂ ਅੱਗ ਹੋ ਗਈ, ਤੇ ਜਦ ਕੋਈ ਔਰਤ ਅੱਗ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ, ਜੰਗਲ ਤੋਂ ਰਾਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੁੱਛਦੀ। The fire and the direction. Relations from their filthy bodies wiped me off like a bead of sweat. Just before meanness could mingle into my waters, I turned fire. And when some woman transforms into fire, she seeks no directions from forest. Soul. How could she divide brightness for bodies? How could she divide brightness for bodies? Having got annoyed with her, the bodies got stiffened like corpses. Liberated, she kept glowing like soul. One last poem. Well-wisher, 2 lines, small poem. Well-wisher, having chopped off my wings, he remarked, look, I spruced you up a wee bit, and how pretty you appear. Thank you
very much. Thank you very much for lighting the forest fire of poetry. And now I'd like to request Mr. Harish Chand Adhikari from Nepal.
Yes, sir, sab, Harish Chand Adhikari also not joined. So we can move to Damodar.
Damodar Pudasaini is here.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Damodar.
Yes, please come to the screen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Again, this is Damodar Pudasaini. Lives in Kathmandu, Nepal. I've already published 17th book. 11th books are poetry book, and 5 are travelogue book, and 1 is philosophical book. Now I am going to reciting some poems. First one is Voice of Mountain. Those who love in this world will never be alone. Those who love in this world will never be alone. Those who love me will receive love from everyone in return. Everything can be found while climbing uphill, just like you will meet while climbing the summit. Everything can be found while climbing uphill, just like you will meet while climbing the summit. Black crows waking the fog, Damphe, Munal, Malewa, painting colors all over the walls, and stripping the countless tender birds as reminder of mornings. And you will find yak, nuts, and sheep filling their stomach, devouring the beauty of high hills, with bells hanging round the neck, and that sound awaking the mountains, mixing their melodious humans with the wind. Those who love me will receive all the widest gift of the world with love. Those who truly love will meet the first source of waterfall, the first particle of snow, the first particle of snow, the first vivid picture of color, and the first gust of wind. Only those who truly love have held their head high like a mountain. Those who love me will never lose in any obstacle of life. Next one is, topic is same, voice of mountain. The mountains are not the shoulder of war, but the general of the whole world. The mountains are not the shoulders of war, but the general of the whole world. They are conspicuously watching those who paint the color black and those spreading the light. Mountains, they possess the strength to shake the world and themselves remain still like a gatekeeper. It watches the pages be mountains, movements. Those who speak to block the mountain, they came by being fog, sometimes being the wind, and sometimes as the cloud. For the oppressor and obstructors, mountains momentarily write their lost songs. While I was looking intently, came out from the mountain, the rim I had been looking for ages. Wake up, someday I want to see you to standing as firm as mountain. Another poem is also mountain. Why are the prayer flags trembling? Why are the prayer wheels constantly on the move? While the whole world is in motion, why are the forms and colors of Pova arts changing momentarily? Fossils are trying to swallow time. Time itself is trying to wake up in laboratory, and my mountain, like someone beloved, is looked by many, but no one has comprehended in perfect sense. My mountain has the power to remove all the awareness of the world. My mountain has the power to exist in all the envies of the world. Only my mountains can satisfy the hunger of every person in the world. My mountains have the essence of all the beauties of the world. Not a mountain, but if only you could become a snow in a move of happiness all over the world, in the hills of the plains, everywhere, there is no alternative but to walk with them. To embellish of the world, my mountain constantly is being ornamented with the snow, white light as the festivals. Why the prayers flags trembling? Why the prayers wheels constantly on the move? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Damodarji. Now I request to Mohammad Kaisar Haq Saab from Bangladesh to say a few words and recite their poem.
Round off, yes.
Yeah,
it's
please.
been a pleasure. I've been associated with SAARC for many years. I taught at Dhaka University, retired when I reached the age of 65, and now that I've entered my 70s, I'm teaching at a private university in Bangladesh, ULab, and I've been writing poetry since the age of 17. I'm not very prolific. My poetry comes in dribs and drabs, but it has not abandoned me ever. So, I would like to read out 2 or 3 little poems. I will start with a poem titled Spending, Spent. How do I spend my days? Late nights and rising late, distracted by celestial lights, meaning sun, moon, star, nature's changes of fashion, overdressed summer, nudist winter, lingual monotony of fellow creatures, shrilling kite, shrieking parrot, rasping crow, lazing till hunger overwhelms, then eating without relish, scanning violent headlines while straining to overcome constipation, breaking into nervous sweat as clock hands admonish my tardiness, and yet somehow managing to get clothes on, get through the day, the murderous decibels of hucksters, honkers, sloganeers, and seized with sudden enthusiasm for health and strength and vigor, once again attack a pair of rusty dumbbells, but they seem heavier each time I get down to it. Well, it seems I no longer spend my days, they spend me. The next one is a sort of comic poem, I think. It's called As Usual. As usual, my old friend, the sage of the roadside tea stall, casually solves a problem or two between sips of semi-viscous tea, for which, as usual, I'm paying because, as usual, he's out of pocket. The talk, as usual, is of money. Ministers and their multi-millions, captains of commerce and their borrowed billions, spiraling prices and dwindling incomes. Ban money, the sage counsels. Abolish currency and peace will reign on earth. Silence descends upon us like feathers from ruffled chickens. All eyes are trained on the sage, imploring elaboration. No money, no desire for money. No pickpocketing, no bribes, no violence. No taka, no trickery. No pound sterling, no pound of flesh. No moolah, no murder. No greenbacks, no green berets. The sage pauses, takes a long sip and a sagacious conceptual leap. I'm, of course, using the word money in a broadly symbolic sense. By money, I mean everything that arouses cupidity. Gold, diamonds, cars. I mean, in fact, private property. What about power, I ask? You see, I've read my Michel Foucault. I was coming to that, says the wily sage. Abolish power as well. No more power play between politicians and the people, between teachers and the taught, between friends, lovers, relatives, family members, colleagues, fellow citizens. No more money and no more power. Only peace, 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 shanti, shanti, shanti. As dinner invitations pour on the sage like confetti, a brainwave hits me. What about sex? I mutter in his ear. Don't add unnecessary complications, he mutters back. Have we run out of time?
Yeah, please.
Yes. Do we have time for one more? Or do we have some more time? Or shall we end? Okay. My last. It's titled An English Sonnet is Equal to 140 Syllables. This poem was written in response to Shakespeare's sonnets. I chose sonnet 66. This was commissioned by a celebration of Shakespeare's the tercentenary of his death in 2013. To be is to see. I can never tire of the passing show. Everything a tad worse each morning. scum rising visibly, white hot sun blinding eyes with sweat. Blinkingly you read a poet's retraction of satirical verses. Headlines packed with lies. Hear the growl of motorbike, killer or cop, who knows? While the perennial mask goes on for those who have made a killing. To face the tide is folly, but if you will join me, together we'll take note of things so long as we can breathe. So what if one can't tell substance from shadow? Feeling around's always been fun. Call it love or what you will. Thank you very much. And Ajit ji, it's good to see you, even though only virtually. Adab.
Thank you, Kasarak Sahab, and the poets, Bhishma Upreti.
Yes, how are you? Good to see you. I'd like to thank all the poets who have participated in this session, which Ajit ji has kindly allowed me to chair. Bhishma Upreti, Deo Prasad Chaudhary, Krishna Rao, Ubaid Akash, Beena Singh, Sukhinda Amrit, and Damodar Udasaina. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kaisar Sahab. Thank you.
Thank you for
Sahitya Academy and FOSWAL express their gratitude to you all for reciting very nice and heartbreaking poems. Special thanks, Muhammad Kaisar Sahab, and many thanks to respected Ajit Kaurji to listening all the poets so carefully. So we are very thankful to all of you. Thank you. Namaskar.